Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we explore convenient yet effective shortcuts that will help you get ahead and move forward faster by becoming a better leader. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert, and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rembach.
Call Center Coach develops and unites the next generation of call center leaders. Through our e-learning and community, individuals gain knowledge and skills in the 6 core competencies that is the blueprint that develops high-performing call center leaders. Successful supervisors do not just happen. So go to callcentercoach.com to learn more about enrollment and download your copy of the Supervisor Success Path ebook now. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, today I'm excited because on the show today, I have somebody on who's going to tell us and help us with a core tenet on what it takes to be an effective leader. Ajit Nawalkha was born and raised in Jaipur, Rajasthan, India. He grew up in a home with 23 other family members under one roof. Clearly, in such situations, in such conditions, space and money were limited. Early in life, he decided that he wanted a bigger life. So he learned that if he was to make it in life, the choice lay between 3 options: a career of a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. Trying to follow the traditional path, Ajit opted for the latest, only to be standing in front of his family a few years later announcing that he has chosen a path of an entrepreneur instead. Online education was at its early stages. Facebook had just come out, and believing there were any money or success in that field felt rather as an insanity. Despite family concerns, he dropped his engineering study to pursue a career in business. He started as a nonprofit intern in Mindvalley, the same company where he one day would become a CEO. Joining the company, he felt like he was finally surrounded by people who understood him and spoke his language. Finally, having found his natural environment, Ajit started growing at exponential rate. He quickly moved from a nonprofit intern to a department head and then to CEO of the company. That seemed like a dream come true. Ajit had also started his career as an entrepreneur and business investor. He started working with business owners, teachers, healers, helping them to grow their business. Suddenly, the position of CEO did not seem like the top of his career. Ajit felt his passion and purpose revolved around helping coaches, authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs create a positive impact in the greater world. So having achieved what seemed like a pick of the business career before 30, he was starting fresh once again. His company, Evercoach, was born. Evercoach is a virtual hub for coaches. Ajit's life was transformed by smart, gifted coaches and mentors, and this motivated him to become a coach himself. His mission is to empower dedicated educators, coaches, and teachers to facilitate positive change in the world. Ajit formulated his own leadership approach confronting traditional business education. He advocates for leader of none approach, believing you are only as brilliant as the people that follow you. Over the past decade, he has helped build training and coaching companies to inspire the coming generation, transform entrepreneurs to live on purpose and while enjoying their lives while increasing profits. Ajit currently lives in Los Angeles, California, and loves to explore the world, learn different cuisines, and write, and spending time with his wife, Nita, and his son. Ajit Nawalkha, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
I'm absolutely excited to be here, Jim.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you're here. And I've actually been following you for a number of years, so I'm really excited that you're here. But I've given my Legion a little bit about you, but could you tell us what your current passion is so that we can get to know you even better?
My current passion, apart from family, of course, that's my primary driver at this point, is just to take care of the family and really spend time with them. But at the same point in time, what I'm passionate about is to be able to create positive change in the world. And I do that by building businesses or helping businesses around different types of education sector and different type of educations that are around that is around adult development, not just child development, but also by writing books, by writing articles, creating videos that inspire, motivate, and help people take action towards creating a greater reality for themselves. So I'm a researcher in that context. I research, I test, I find different ideas, I build them together, and I try to create greater philosophies that can help humanity move forward.
Yeah, and I really like I said, I've been following for a couple of years and talking about that whole exploring and testing and, talking about adult, learning. And one of the things that you and I had the opportunity to chat before we got on the interview was this whole concept of, for me, trying to develop that emerging and existing frontline leader in customer care environments, and how oftentimes they're just given and bestowed the responsibility with not a whole lot of opportunity to develop themselves, but yet they are given the responsibility to develop others. And what's the problem with that?
Well, there's a lot of problems with that, and it happened with me also in early on in my career, where I was like you said, I was an intern in the company Mindvalley, which I'm also a co-founder of. But when I was an intern in the company, what had happened was the person that was supposed to lead me had been recently demoted because of some internal challenges in their performance, and because of that, I was kind of made the leader of the team. But I didn't know anything about how online marketing works, how business works. And I mean, I was learning it, but I was a 24-year-old kid. I didn't really know what to do. And at that point, what had happened was because of that responsibility, I know I built some really bad habits as a leader, because as much as you can get this responsibility, if you don't have the right training, it becomes a bit of a challenge, because as a leader, you're not really playing only the role of being a role model, but you're also being somebody who needs to create other role models. You need to be able to inspire the team to be able to take action. You just being good at your job doesn't make you a really good leader. It just makes you really good at your job. Maybe you can train people on it, maybe, but that also is a whole different skill, a whole different gamut of area that you need to kind of consider and work towards. So just getting assigned as become a leader while you're just great at your job is actually very wrong in context of the stress that it creates for the person that takes the leadership roles. Because that is why also we see so much conflict internally in the team. It's because the leader themselves have to first figure themselves out before they're stepping into the role of saying, oh, I can help other people. Because that's one of the biggest roles of a leader, is not really to do their job, but actually to help other people do their job. And that's really the role of a leader in a way.
So as you started talking, I started thinking about some of the studies that I have reviewed, and one of them talking about, the glass ceiling when you hit a certain point, and meaning that your technical skills and abilities will get you so far. And for a lot of people in organizations, that will get them to a senior level role. But in order for them to get into that next level where they're actually, leading the people who are in those roles, it kind of flips. I mean, your technical skill, while it's important and having that know-how is there, but it now becomes you now have to be the one who leads. And oh, by the way, I have this technical benefit.
Exactly, because I think about it like this: as you move up the ranks, and for all the listeners that are thinking about taking a leadership role or have taken a leadership role, look at your leader's job role. See how much of your leader's job is to not actually do what technically needs to be done. Right? And you might think, oh, they don't do anything. They just sit around and don't do anything. But that is actually, their job is to actually sit around. And it's not that they're not doing anything. What they're doing is exactly getting you to do your job in an effective, powerful way. And good leaders, you will love them for not doing anything. The bad leaders are the ones where you go, oh, they're not doing anything. I'm the one who does all the work. Well, you're the one who does all the work. Yes, because you are not leading the team yet. Leaders are supposed to not actually do the job, because if that would be the case, it will all be based on technical know-how, and technical know-how has a limit. After a point, there is no greater technical know-how. There's greater experience, which basically tells you what mistakes you don't need to do, but it's not new technical know-how. It's if you know a language and code in a particular language, everybody knows that language. It's all about the quality of the skill that they might have. But a leader of the team, not just leader in context of superiority in their technical know-how, but leader of the team is usually the person, or should be the person, that actually knows how to inspire the team, actually knows how to coach the team, actually knows what the team should be doing in times of stress and in times of concern. So there are more people who rile people up and bring them together to create a team, to create an atmosphere of high performance, not necessarily people who are the greatest technical advanced human being in the team. That's not what they're there for.
Well, in this particular study, even put an age on it. And it said when people kind of hit their mid-40s. And so, oftentimes we hear about this, midlife crisis, mid-career crisis. And I dare to suspect that a lot of it happens, at that time where you get this technical skill and ability not being able to take it to the next level, and you get this stagnation that occurs because you haven't been coached on how to lead all along the way.
Yeah. And that's one of the greatest things that are missing in the corporate environment right now. People are moving up the ranks without actually being trained for it, without being coached for it. And that's why they start to struggle the moment they go up and they start to get into conflicts.
So when you start looking at, you're talking about the diversity of the types of coaches that you've had the opportunity to work with, and you start putting it in context of that, people moving to that next level of responsibility. And I'm also a firm believer that, growth doesn't mean this movement. It doesn't mean upward. Growth happens this way as well. And so you talking about impacting the world and humanity, it isn't necessarily that I'm at the top and being able to go down on humanity in order to be able to teach them, but I have to be amongst them and within it. So I see growth as one in ways.
Absolutely.
But when you start talking about, being able to get people to, effectively move in that direction and looking all of the diversity of coaches, is where do you find that the most success from? Is it what type of discipline or what type of area?
So in coaching or even in training or just as human beings, what I've found is the more people start to work on themselves, and it's a very diverse field working on themselves. It's not an easy play. It's probably one of the most complicated things to do and most ignored thing to do as well at the same point of time, because we feel, and that's the dialogue of our education system. We go in education system, it's all about technical, right? It's all about what's the technical thing that you need to learn, right? So it's all about the strategy. It's the things that we can make sense of is what we teach in school, right? You can make sense of, you will write this, or this is the Newton's law, this is whatever law. So those laws make sense. And so we can teach it. And so we work on that. And that's what we teach. But what we do is we train the kids to learn only the technical things, right? And they feel that the progress in life is associated to their technical growth. What we know for sure at this point, and this is not just me saying it here, but like you quoted a study that you read, there are multiple studies that have been done, which shows that people who progress in life are people who work on themselves. There's a reason why there's the line, readers are leaders, right? Those lines are not just hypothetical. This is studies that have been done again and again. These are questions that have been asked to leaders again and again, top entrepreneurs, top celebrities, top professionals, again and again and again. And the single biggest attitude that these individuals tend to have is they constantly focus on their personal growth. And as they grow personally, they tend to grow academically, they tend to grow spiritually, they tend to grow career-wise. They tend to grow in dimensions that otherwise they didn't even know they had the bandwidth to be able to grow. Because after all humans are working with humans in some capacity, right? Even if you're working with a software code, you're kind of working to replicate a human nature in some way, right? The task that human beings do, that's kind of you're trying to replicate. So you have an understanding of human beings. You have an understanding of emotions. Greater you understand yourself, greater you understand your capabilities, greater you understand the outside world. And that's one of the biggest skills that you can have as a professional, as an entrepreneur, for you to be able to go, hey, what is the inner dialogue that I can work on? It's hard. It's not easy. It looks easy because we always touch the surface and we can say, oh, I know my inner dialogue. But that's not your inner dialogue. Most of the time, it's the reflection of society that you see on the surface. Your inner dialogue is way, way, way deep. And it's uncomfortable, but it's important as more and more of that you do. And which is what you do, for example, Jim. Like you help people really figure that dialogue out when you're coaching them, right? You're training them on leadership. Leadership training is personal development. That is personal development. People think it's something different. It's not. It's the same, right? You're talking about communication. You're talking about understanding of the human beings. That is personal development.
That is so true. And, even when you were talking, I started thinking about something that I saw where Jack Ma, from the founder of Alibaba, was talking about how our education system, is seriously flawed with what you were referring to, where we're teaching them how to do this stuff and all this technical stuff, when we should actually be having even more of the arts, even more of, the creative side, because as he was saying, with the way that we're going, a lot of that technical stuff is going to be machine stuff anyway.
Yeah, because that's what humanity is. Humanity is always making that progress. We want to make things easier. And the reason why we want things easier is because we want to actually be more creative. We want to be more in flow. We want to be more in our bodies. We want to be more in the nature. So it seemed like for the longest time we wanted to do more, but we actually want to do less as human beings. We want to actually, I mean, it's not that we want to sit around and get bored. It's we want to do less of things that we don't like. That's what I really mean. Is if we don't want to sit on the desk all day long, nobody enjoys that. I've not met one person who says, I love that I don't get to interact with anyone. Even introverts are not like that. Introverts are like, yep, I will like my desk, but I can read a book. I can do this. I can do that. I don't have to look at my computer all day. Nobody likes that. Absolutely no one.
To me, as you were talking, I'm like, okay, the world's coming back around to you, Ajit. We need to learn how to be even better humans than we have been.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we are great humans. It's just that because of all the social noise, and it's called the social comparison theory. It's been researched by, I think, Stanford, where they talk about that we as human beings have started to compare ourselves relative to other people. I mean, we've always been like that, but now it's magnified thanks to social media. Because we're looking at other people's lives at all times. So what we do is we draw comparatives, and we look at our life in context of somebody else's life, instead of looking at our life in context of our life, which should be the way, because we are a different, unique DNA versus anybody else. So why compare to a different DNA when our DNA is completely different, right? So that's kind of is the challenge is right now that we face as humanity. We are all perfect in our own unique way. It may seem imperfect in comparison, but in comparison, direct comparison to ourselves, we are usually very perfect human beings who, if we make progress towards what our greatest strengths are and work a little bit on our weaknesses as well, we would create great progress for our reality, yes.
So, I mean, I can only imagine that with all of the coaches that you've worked with and all these different disciplines, and, even when you're with your work at Mindvalley, I mean, that you've been inspired in so many different ways. And like I said, it's one reason why I follow you, because of your inspirational message. But, on the show, we like sharing quotes. And I'm sure you probably have tons that you love to share. But is there one or two that you can actually share with us?
There are quite a few, like you said. And I usually misquote it. So think of it as a paraphrase. And usually I don't really necessarily try to remember who said it, because what I love is the essence of things. And I think the essence is that is important, not necessarily the quote itself. So the first essence that I love is, if you think you can, if you think you can't, you're always right. So it basically is a decision of you saying, can you do something or can't you do something? Because it's not actually can or can't. That's not what you're really evaluating. You're evaluating is your intention to want to do it or not want to do it, because you're always right. So if you say you can't do something, it's because your intention is to not be able to do it. But if you say you can do something, that's your intention. So you play your intention, and that will always be right in the larger context of the outcome that you create. Another one that I love is, you don't solve a problem by solving the problem. You solve a problem by creating a new reality. So usually people think that, oh, there's a problem, let's fix the problem. But usually the problem originates from a very different reality that we have in our life. It's either embodied in us, in our ecosystem, in our systems, in our company. And so usually tackling the problem is a very temporary solution. And sometimes you need to do that temporary solution. But most of the times you actually need to create a new reality that is not in alignment with the old reality that you had that is creating the problems. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And it also makes sense in a business perspective, from a customer experience perspective. I think too many times companies focus on try to fixing the problem that a customer may have, when they really need to be figuring out a brand new reality for that customer.
Yeah, brand new reality for that customer, brand new reality for their company. If there is a repeated problem and that has become a problem, it's probably because there's something flawed in the company. There's some process flaw, there's some product flaw, there's some systems flaw, there is some human flaw, there is some flaw. But you will only be able to figure that flaw out by creating a new reality. You won't be able to figure the flaw out any other way.
That's very true. Okay, so now, looking at, where you've come from, where you are, and also even where you're headed, I know there's humps that you've had to get over. And we learn from those, talking about coaching and reflecting upon self and stuff. One of the ways that we do that, if we can't go back on our own history, is we have to learn about others. So is there a story that you can share where we can learn?
Well, I think my biggest hump that has happened and tends to come back sometimes, even as I go through life, is my constant dialogue of self-doubt. Not constant, but used to be a constant dialogue of self-doubt. And I think that's a common thing that happens. And it is a reflection of not only social comparison, but also of my background. Because I come from not a very abundant background. I always doubted if I'm good enough, if I'm actually going to be successful. I was a little bit overweight, so I didn't think I was pretty enough or good looking enough, and so on and so forth. So I think those were some of the big hurdles that I've gotten past over time, like with constant reprogramming, and really being able to believe in myself and really being able to say that I can be it's the same quote that I said, you can or you can't is always, you're always right. To be able to have more dialogues of I can, and I believe I have more capabilities than I imagine. And I can, if I constantly work towards it and I constantly evaluate it and learn around it, I will be able to get past it.
As you were saying that, I picked up on something that I find going back to that whole concept of fixing the system versus creating a new reality, and that was your word, reprogramming. And I think too many times, we do that self-reflection. We try fixing something about ourselves when, in fact, we should be trying to do the reprogramming of ourselves. So when you talk about reprogramming, what does that really mean?
Well, reprogramming means that we are all a set of beliefs. If you really think about us as human beings, we are a set of values and beliefs. That's what we are really, like emotionally and spiritually, right? We have a certain values and we want to live by those values. We are either fighting for those values or we are living those values, right? And we have certain beliefs. Now, these values and beliefs, values are mostly intrinsic, which means that's your nature. Like that's just how you were born. That's your DNA most of the time. Some values are built over time as well, but some of your core values is just what gives you joy and pleasure. And that is a whole different conversation to really find those values. And I'm not going to go there. But to understand that you have values and you have beliefs that you live by, and that's why you follow a political party, that's why you follow a particular religion, that's why you follow a particular authority figure, whatever that is, because you have a set of values, you have a set of beliefs. Now, these set of values and beliefs serve you, and sometimes they don't serve you, right? So the same set of values or same set of beliefs that may serve you at a point in life does not serve you at a different point of life. It's just how life is, right? So what happens is you have to be able to constantly revisit what these values and beliefs are, and if they're serving you or they're not serving you. If they're not serving you, because most of our values and beliefs are not nature, they're nurture, which means you've learned from the world as you progress from your childhood, from your adulthood, in your job, in your relationship. You have created these values because of this is a protection mechanism for you, right? Something that gives you a stand, gives you some kind of protection from the outside world. Like, for example, if you believe money is the root of all evil, right? Which is a popular belief in a lot of religion. If that's a value or a belief that you operate from, that will not serve you in making money, right? Because you think it's the root of all evil, right? So if that value is one of your core values, that belief is one of your core beliefs, well, guess why you are not going to be able to make progress in your career? Because you would think you will get richer. And as you'll get richer, guess what? You become evil, especially if you have a negative connotation to evil too, right? Which everybody does. So, and we should. But at the same point in time, money is not equal to evil. Evil people with money is evil, right? So money is not the root of evil. So you can replace that value. You can replace that value by saying money is a magnifier, which means if you're a good person, money will only show more people that you're even better person, right? So money, which is actually the belief that I have, money is a magnifier. If I'm a good person, if I have more money, all you will see is more good, which is why more good people should become rich, right? But if you're a bad person, well, more people will think you're bad. And that's okay too. I mean, that's just what it is. So if I have the belief of saying money is a magnifier, I'm a good person, I don't mind being rich, I will pursue in a direction of making more money. Now, this is, of course, one of the examples that I'm saying. Beliefs and values are spread and sprinkled over all our life, and we just have to constantly evaluate and say, hey, is this value serving me? Is this belief serving me, or is it not? Because one of the biggest reasons you may not make progress is because your values and your beliefs are conflicting to your progress.
I think that's a very valid point, and I think a lot of times once we find, that's where people find discomfort with where they are in a place of a career like you're talking about, is that I haven't quite gotten a grasp on myself, and then when I do finally get that, I realize, well, that doesn't align with who I'm working for. And no wonder why I can't stand being here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's true. If that's the case, if you find more and more about yourself, but hey, listen, a lot of people might go, oh, so should I not find myself? Because if I find myself, I might want to quit my job. But the most amazing thing about finding yourself is everything becomes easy. If you feel like you need a job and you need to make this much revenue or this much money while you're at the job and so forth, it actually becomes easier once you know yourself for you to be able to create that. As much as it will look hard right now, because you'll be like, oh, what happens if I'm out of my job, or if I'm out of my boss, for example. You don't have to be out of your job. Like, you might not just like your boss, but like, if I'm not in alignment with my boss, what will happen? Well, you will find a way to become your own boss, or you will find a way to replace the boss. You'll find a way, because you are so in tune with yourself. And that's why, remember, in your job, when you see the confident people, when you see the people confident but not assholes, right? So you got to be careful. There are confident people, and then there are assholes. They look the same often, but they're not the same. Confident people are confident people, and sometimes some people who are just not in alignment or are assholes also look like confident people. So you want to be, if you look at the confident people that you look at and you go, hey, that's an awesome person. That's a great gal. That's a great guy. I love this person, and I love their confidence. That's a confident person most of the time, right? And if you love those people are also the people that are a full embodiment of their values, often, is why they are so confident, is because they're going, all right, I know exactly who I am. I know what I can deliver, and I know how to deliver it, right? So they don't have a problem progressing in their career. They never have a problem progressing in their career. Look at the confident people. They don't have a problem. The reason is because they're in alignment with themselves, right? So one of the things that you can take away today is, if you want to be more clearer about your career, and if you want to make progress in your career, is know thyself. Know yourself more, and that will help you.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we had talked earlier. You're starting a family. The work that you've been doing and that you're still yet to do. I know you've got a lot of goals, but what would be just one of them?
One of my common vision for myself and my family, like once our son grows up, we'll see if his value is the same. But me and my wife definitely align on this, is to help move the needle, help move the line, help create a positive shift towards humanity, move that needle a little bit more. And that's really the intention that we show up at every single day. Our values that we know as core to both me and my wife is service and love. We want to operate always from a place of love, and we want to always operate from a place of service, to be able to help humanity, to be able to help our friends, to be able to help our families. And that's really the place that we operate from. And because of that, every goal, every vision of ourselves is always in alignment with that. And if we can make progress towards a positive, greater world, that's what we want to do more of.
Well, and the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. Now, before we move on, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. An Even Better Place to Work is an easy-to-use solution that gives you a continuous diagnostic on employee engagement, along with integrated activities that will improve employee engagement and leadership skills in everyone. Using this award-winning solution is guaranteed to create motivated, productive, and loyal employees who have great work relationships with their colleagues and your customers. To learn more about An Even Better Place to Work, visit beyondmorale.com/better. All right, here we go, Fast Leader Legion. It's time for the Hump Day Hoedown. Okay, Ajit, the Hump Day Hoedown is a part of our show where you give us good insights fast. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and your job is to give us robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. Ajit Nawalkha, are you ready to hoedown?
I am absolutely ready. Let's do it.
All right. So what do you think is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
I think more learning.
What is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
Care for people. People matter.
What is one of your secrets that you believe helps you do better in life and in work?
I don't operate from ego. I'm an egoless man, or I have less ego.
What do you feel is one of your best tools that helps you lead in business or life?
Organization. A lot of tools, a lot of tech tools.
What was one book that you'd recommend to our Legion? It could be from any genre.
Well, right now, I'll recommend my book, Live Big. It's coming out now.
Okay, Fast Leader Legion, you can find links to that and other bonus information from today's show by going to fastleader.net/Ajit Nawalkha. And just do Ajit, you'll be able to find it. Okay, Ajit, this is my last update. Hold on question. Imagine you were given the opportunity to go back to the age of 25, and you could take all the knowledge and skills that you have now back with you. But you can't take everything back. You can only choose one. So what skill or piece of knowledge would you take back with you, and why?
I think the piece of knowledge that I will take back with me will be the knowing that I'll be okay. I think I operated a lot from fear and scarcity when I was younger. I think I could do better if I just knew that I'll be okay and everything will be fine.
Ajit, thanks for being with us today. How can the Fast Leader Legion connect with you?
Well, get the book. As you get the book, you will see various ways to interact with me. You can get the book at livebigthebook.com, LIVEBIGTHEBOOK, livebigthebook.com. As you go there, you'll get a copy of the book. As you get the copy of the book, you'll find a secret link in there, which allows you to be able to get a free program with us and also be able to interact with me directly.
Ajit Nawalkha, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.